What's up, guys? It's Confessions of a Doctorholic with Hassa Sloman, and back on air we've got Gabriel, and we're coming up with some juicy AIDS awareness stuff. All right, so what is HIV?
Well, good question. I think we all have a global idea of what it is from, far or not. So let's try to elaborate a bit on that. HIV is standing for Human Immunodeficiency Virus, which pretty much sums it all. So it's a virus, to be more precise, HIV, to be more precise, an RNA virus. So RNA being that transient state of DNA, in case you're not familiar with it. And so basically what it does, this virus gets transmitted to human cells, and the RNA gets injected within human cells. And from there, what it's going to do is it's going to inject that RNA, and this RNA is going to go back to DNA state, which will insert within our very own DNA. That's creepy. So once that's done, the virus can reproduce itself using our own cell machinery, and from there burst the cells, reproduce, and invade just more cells, and that's a perpetuous cycle.
And which cells do they specifically infect?
So that's very relevant actually, because a lot of viruses have similar patterns in what I just described globally. So where HIV is a bit different is that it preferentially attacks white blood cells, so macrophage, lymphocytes, subpopulation of white blood cells, which basically are the key cells for immunity, right? So because of that, you're going to jeopardize the immunity of your body.
Okay. And when HIV goes bad, it leads to AIDS, which is acquired immunodeficiency disease.
Indeed. So AIDS is that late stage of HIV when the body can no longer fight it off. So for a few years, depending on everyone's own resistance, the body is gonna try to create more white blood cells to palliate the one that died. And reaching a point where you can no longer fight it off and you just lose too many white blood cells, you're getting in that AIDS stage. And it is very important and relevant clinically speaking, because this is when you're going to start getting pretty much every infections that just is around. So you are in an immunodeficient state, hence the name of the virus, and you can just acquire anything that comes around, including bacterias, fungi, viruses, parasites, anything that's around, you will be susceptible to catch it.
So basically, you're telling me that the body is in a weaker state, and that's why you're more likely to be affected by some other like viruses and bacteria because you have HIV and because it targets your immune system.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. All right. And because it weakens you, how do you reckon we should go about it? So how do we treat it? Is it curable? That's basically what I'm asking.
So it is quite a complex matter. The first thing is, it is very insidious because you might not even notice you have HIV, right?
Okay.
The initial infection is just asymptomatic almost. You might have a bit of a fever, swollen lymph nodes, very global stage. So the first thing is you want to be diagnosed, which is why it is so important to get you tested, if you have any doubts, if you just had maybe a reckless intercourse recently, you just want to get out there, get checked out. Even if you're being careful, we should all get checked out from time to time just to be on the safe side. So that's the first thing, get diagnosed.
Okay, so when you say asymptomatic, that means you don't have any symptoms. And you mentioned intercourse. So how does HIV spread?
So it is a fluid spread virus. So potentially you can acquire it, let's say, by using intravenous drugs. So drug users are more susceptible than others. As a doctor, you should also be aware, or any medical professional, that you can get it from needle stick injuries. So that's something we should all keep in mind if we're going to work in the healthcare work field. Now, more globally, most of people will catch it by sexual transmission.
Okay, so basically unsafe sexual practices.
Yes, indeed, yes.
Okay, how do you propose we could stop this?
So it is very nice that we have a very wide range of treatments out there. They are not harmless. There are quite a bit of a side effects. You can also develop resistance to it if you don't take them properly. But they are out there, and researchers have done a wonderful job on it. They are there. They target a lot of different stages of the virus infections, and that's a very good news. Now, they are not enough to cure someone who is HIV positive.
So, what drugs are these drugs? We just mentioned drugs. I know there are some reverse transcriptases and non-reverse transcriptases. So, could you please elaborate a little bit more about that?
So because the virus has so many steps in the way it inserts into the cells, you can basically target each one of these little steps to block the virus. So for instance, some drugs will prevent the virus to incorporate to our DNA. These are the integrase inhibitors, because the integrase is that enzyme, that protein that allows the virus to integrate. Integrase, right?
Okay.
Some other treatments would include blocking the replication of the virus. So that reverse transcriptase we're talking about. So the virus cannot go from RNA to DNA. Some will not even allow it to enter the cell in the first place. Some will not allow it to leave the cell in the first place. So you can target every one of these steps, and ideally you want to combine a few different drugs so you get the best result.
And we want to use many different drugs together to prevent resistance because it's got reverse transcriptase, which has a high rate of errors, and so it mutates rapidly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
However, it is a bit tricky because some people think that, they feel good, they feel better, they don't have to take the treatment as regularly as they should, and this is the best way to develop resistance, is when you stop taking your treatment. So you feel good, that's great, but that's because the treatments are working, and you should keep on your schedule very tightly.
So guys, all of you out there who are listening to us, Gabriel is basically telling you not to stop taking drugs. It may be hard, but keep doing it because you don't want to develop resistance. So when you take these drugs, is it curable?
It's a very important question because I feel like a lot of people are not aware of that. So you cannot be cured at the moment. The drugs are very powerful, but you cannot get rid of the virus. That's the first thing. However, they are powerful enough so that your blood is basically told as being undetectable. The virus is undetectable. So you can no longer pass it. And that's very important because I feel like a lot of people will ostracize or will be afraid of people who are HIV positive and will feel, they might infect me, I can't have sex with them, it's out of question, even protecting myself, no way. That is not true. If you are taking a treatment as you should and you're being followed up by a doctor just to make sure you're not getting resistance, then you are on the safe side and you can no longer pass the virus. It is as effective as if you were wearing a condom, for instance.
Okay.
And that is a topic you should, bring in with your partner.
Yeah.
And I feel like,
Like, don't get embarrassed.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing to be embarrassed about, and I feel like it's, your partner will be grateful that you bring the topic in. It's not, it's not sexy, condoms, On the opposite, it is sexy to be safe. It is sexy to be confident and to know what you want and to talk about these.
There we go. I love it. So, it's sexy to be safe. We're going to make a quote out of this. Okay, so I've heard this thing about vaccines. So some scientists are trying to create a vaccine for HIV. What's your opinion on this matter?
Look, it is my opinion, and it's only my point of view. But look, we've been trying to develop a vaccine since the 80s when the virus was brought up to the. So it's been 40 years now. We know that's a nasty virus that keeps mutating itself. So it's really tricky and it's really hard to develop a vaccine for it. I'm not saying it's impossible. We will never, get to the point where we will develop a vaccine, but right now we are not able to do so. The way I see things, we have all the tools necessary to eradicate the virus already. If you diagnose everyone with HIV, ideally speaking, let's say we freeze the world right now and everyone with HIV is diagnosed, is treating accordingly, followed up, and you spread proper education and you educate people basically. You're done with the virus because again, once you're treated, you can no longer pass it. So we already have all the tools in order to eradicate it. It just takes, to my opinion, to divert that money from vaccine and maybe use it for better follow-up, diagnosing and treating. This is only my opinion. I understand that it is very important to find a vaccine, but the way I see it, it's no.
But you're thinking like move the money to more education programs and a little bit less to the vaccinations.
Also because this is short term, you could fix things right away. More than 1 million people die every year of HIV. So, it's nice to find a vaccine, but right now we don't have it. And we have solutions already.
You know what was also really interesting? So I also read this article about HIV and how they're using this virus to sort out treatments for some other disorders. So have you read anything about that?
No, I haven't. Please tell me more about it.
All right, so they've been trying to use HIV for gene therapy. because it integrates into human cells, they're trying to use the HIV to integrate the missing gene in some genetic disorders, like the rare genetic ones. So they're trying to replace the genes that way.
Oh, interesting. So they basically take the virus, remove the virulent parts, and make it safe so that you can use it for genetic purposes.
Yeah, so
basically.
that's the concept behind it.
Huh.
There are some pros and cons to it. They're still trying to see if it works or not, because there is a chance that it could become virulent again, and that would be scary. I mean, you don't want to go in for treatment and then contract like HIV in the end.
That'd be a scandal.
But I mean, medicine's amazing, and we always come up with new things. So hopefully they'll come up with a solution soon.
Indeed, it sounds pretty creative to me.
All right, so Gabriel, do you have any last words on this topic?
Well, to put it in a nutshell, prevention is better than cure. Get out there, get yourself checked, even if you know you're fine, and guarantee yourself you're being fine and you protect the one you love.
Perfect. That's a wrap of season 1 of Confessions of a Doctorholic, with over 1,000 listens from across the world, which I'm so stoked and excited about. So guys, I'm going to be back stronger and better than ever. In about a month, mark the date. We're back on Christmas. I just need a bit of a break, from my voice. Nah, joking. I just need to study. But I'm going to be back stronger and better than ever. And I want you to be back with me. If you want a special topic, if you want to comment on any of the episodes from before, feel free to send a voice note on Anchor for free. And I'll catch you in a month. See yous.